Frostbite Caves and Lost World are next, and I would say neither of these worlds have any really iconic plants again, but I know one person in the comments is going to say Rutabaga is the most iconic plant in PVZ2, so I won't even bother. And guys, I like winter melon and melon pult, okay? I said melon pult is the exception, and when I said that, I kind of meant all variations of melon pult. I didn't know I had to specify both. My bad. I really didn't know there were that many melon pult glazers, okay? You can get off of his stem now. His leaves are falling off. Anyway, Frostbite Caves' whole gimmick is that they give you this certain plant that melts ice away because every few zombies, icy cold wind will break through, and if one of your plants get hit with this wind twice, it freezes them, and you have to use this plant to melt it away. For this challenge, I'm going to try not to use it. It will only be if I tried and failed multiple times on a level. But yeah, let's get into it. The first world was, as expected, pretty easy. One thing about the world's gimmick that was actually in our favor is if we hypnotize the zombie, they can actually eat the ice of another plant. There's also this zombie that throws snowballs at my plants that are supposed to make them freeze faster or just straight up freeze them, but usually this doesn't really matter because I only have 2 call powers on the map, and they're usually distracted by other hypnotized zombies, or I put a hypnoshroom on them. Also, these tiles on the map make a zombie go a certain direction, so I usually put my call power in the place that zombies won't be, so they never get to eat my call power, so it's always there. This level was extremely hard. They have most... Why did I just get a lisp mid-sentence, dude? I said most. Now this level is extremely hard. Now they had most plants picked for us, so we only got to bring 2. So I decided to bring call power and the enchantment. And there were just way too many zombies for a call power and just an enchantment to do alone. Especially with the winds blowing and my call powers freezing. There's just not enough crowd control with our plants. Speaking of, it seems like call power can never hypnotize the right zombies when I need him the most. But we did eventually get by this level with extreme luck. Hopefully they don't give us another level like this. The next level was really easy, especially because a call power hypnotized the zombie and the zombie ate away at the ice covering the 2-headed pea shooter. Since the tiles at the bottom and the top brought the zombies directly behind the twin pea shooter, they basically cleaned everything up. Day 9 had 4 huge waves of zombies, but the first 3 weren't really that hard. It was the 4th one that had a ton of zombies, but luckily we survived with all of our lawnmowers until the 4th one, so the lawnmowers cleaned all of them up. Thankfully, there's no zombie like the chicken zombie from the Wild West. Right? Day 11 was survival with most plants picked for you. Wait. I could have sworn we just played this level. But this level was even harder because it had 4 huge waves of zombies like the last one, but I only had call power and enchantment again. So obviously, like any speculating human would, this is definitely not possible. Only giving me call power with 0 sun and enchantment, which hypnotizes 2 zombies and then boosts my call power, who only gets 1 shot off, isn't very helpful. I even tried with Solar Sage, but same result. Even though the Solar Sage gave me enough sun, the problem was still the cooldowns with the Call of Power. I could only place one every few lawnmowers. I even tried to do some sibling action where I did 2 Solar Sages, but nothing seemed to work as Solar Sage has like a 10-second cooldown, and there was just way too many zombies. Day 12 is a plan your defense level, and just like always, I just spam Call of Hours and pray.
So they punish me for being smart.
This isn't even a plan your defense level. This is a plan your defense after your first line of defense fails, because literally anything you put down after the first wave of zombies, it all gets frozen. Like, what's the point of plan your defense if your defense immediately gets frozen and you have to plan a new one? I just please want someone to explain to me why PopCap is throwing a category 5 snowstorm at me that could freeze Galactus. Thank goodness all the zombies came in the very last wave so all of our lawnmowers could clean them up. Day 13 is don't let zombies trample the flowers, and this level was extremely hard due to the fact that the levels where we can't let the zombies trample the flowers is basically just saying you can't use any lawnmowers to kill the zombies at the very end. And you know that's my favorite thing to do, is use the lawnmowers to kill the zombies. Sometimes I really can't help it. We ended up finally beating this level, but it was with the help of Solar Sage, and this level made me realize that we're going to be seeing a lot more of him this world. Day 15 was actually pretty easy. It was protecting 2 pepper pults because we got to put our call powers behind the pepper pults so they didn't freeze, so we had them the whole time. It did get really close to losing though. Day 17 was extremely simple and easy. They just gave us these random plants that were on the field. We don't have to protect them, but they were just there. Look at this dude in the bottom right, bro. He thought his homeboys were invited to the sleepover or something. Day 19, we got to bring 3 plants instead of 2 like the other challenges, and we had to use our boy Solar Sage, but we ended up getting it done quite easily. You know, when I played through this game, normally the dudes who pushed the frozen imps were kind of a challenge because I usually had to shoot the imps, but in this challenge, it's really easy to deal with them because they just hypnotize them, or I use the cauliflower's plant food and they get flung off the map. There was no catches on day 20. It was just really chaotic for some reason. I mean, look at the bottom of my screen. Why is there so many imps? Where is bro getting all these imps from? And the day I was despising, day 22, is the day that has the weasel zombies, which basically is exactly like the chicken zombie from the Wild West, but instead of chickens, it's weasels. Thankfully, they are not nearly as frequent as the chicken zombies, and we can also take them out with the Solar Sage and them not spawn any weasels. Day 23, we had to protect a line of charred guards, but this was actually pretty easy, even with the weasel zombies, because the charred guards actually deal with any stray weasels that are on the map. Day 24 was a produce enough sun level, so we brought Solar Sage, but the first try we only brought 1 Solar Sage, so it was kind of difficult. So we imitated the Solar Sage, and then it was pretty easy. The weasels actually aren't that bad. I hate the weasels! I just don't know why we had to go back to back with worlds that have 2 zombies that spawn animals when they're killed. Thankfully, there aren't even close to as many of these weasel spawners as there were in the Wild West chicken spawners. But this level just required the cauliflower not hypnotizing a zombie that was in front of a weasel zombie so that they wouldn't spawn their little weasels everywhere. Day 27, we had to protect 3 rutabagas, which is the most iconic plant in PVZ2, I think. This level wasn't hard. The rutabagas actually helped a lot since we don't really have any firepower. Day 28 was a plan your defense level, and I learned my lesson from last time, so I spent all my sun instead of saving some of it. As soon as the level started, I was already getting overwhelmed by weasels. And again, the snowstorms froze everything I had. I built a wall of hypnoshrooms to protect me from the weasels, but they turned into ice cubes, so it didn't help. This level was so hard I decided to use the hot potato, which melts stuff for this game. But look at how I got scammed out of this win. Okay, so all these weasels come in, I kill one with the hypnoshroom, and then the other ones chow down and they get killed by the lawnmower. Where did that weasel come from, bro? Where did he come from? They hypnotized the Gargantuar, even tried to throw an imp behind him to go catch it. I tried saving my son next time, but look, I had 2 fully health fine hypnoshrooms at the top, and then look, Frozone just comes by and casually freezes them both and lets a weasel get by. I was able to complete this level, but it took saving even more sun and the hot potato to unfreeze some of my hypnoshrooms. But I'm so glad I'm finally done with the weasels. No more weasels, please. Please, no more weasels. Please, no more weasels, please, please, please. And yeah, that's it for Frostbite Caves. I'd have to give Frostbite Caves a 5 out of 10 difficulty. There was only one level that was impossible, but I wouldn't even really call it impossible because it only limited us to 2 plants. The challenge is to see if I can complete it with all, 4 of my plants? So limiting us to 2 plants, I just don't see how that's very fair, and I wouldn't really count that as an impossible level for this challenge in my books. The next world up is Lost City. Now, Lost City I feel like is one of the more forgettable worlds for me. If someone asked me to name all the worlds, I would probably forget Lost City and maybe the Dark Ages. But also, this world is one of the shorter worlds for this challenge. Half of the levels in this world are gimmicks like conveyor and giving plants and stuff like that. So this world is going to be the shortest to go over. Day 2 of Lost City tries to introduce us to this plant by showing us that he hides when he's closer to the zombies and he's fearless when he's on the lawnmower side, which doesn't really make any sense because he's scared when he's closer to the zombies, but if a zombie walks up to him while he's near the lawnmowers, he's like fearless and ready to get his brains blown out. Also, from now on, I'm going to be making a tier list of each world's plants when I get introduced to them. Red Stinger is going in high B in the tier list. I mean, in general, he's pretty good, but the design is fine, and the mechanic that he gets scared when he's farther up on the line. I mean, he shoots all the way down the lane. I mean, there's no reason for you to be putting him or any plant like him at half of the map anyway. But I guess he's like that for the digger zombie that like digs him up and throws him. That makes it where you have to protect him more. Overall, I think he's a high B. Day 4 introduces us to the digger zombie, which if he goes up to a plant, instead of eating them, he just scoops them up and throws them behind him. Now for this challenge, he isn't really a big problem, but when you play normally, you just really come to hate the digger. Day 7 introduces us to another plant, AKEE. I'm gonna put him in A tier actually, because I think he's pretty good. I like his design. I mean, if you have a full lane of zombies, it bounces in between each zombie and gets a couple extra damage on each one, so it could take out a full row of regular zombies if there was one. You know, the reason why it's higher than the Red Stinger is because the Red Stinger has a downside to using it for some reason, you know? Day 10, nothing happened. It was extremely easy like all the other levels that we talked about so far, but it did introduce us to the Endurian, another plant from this world, and he basically is just a walnut if he damaged people. He does the same amount of damage as a spikeweed at level 1. So if the walnut's 50 sun and a spikeweed is 100 sun, add those together 150 and the Endurian only costs 100? Day 12 requires you to produce 5,000 sun, so we doubled up on the solar stages, and the reason why this is possible is because of the golden tiles. When you plant on them, they give you like 50 sun over time. But you know, if you were playing normally, you would have like 2 full tiles of sun, so you would be getting sun from the tiles like crazy. But since we can only afford like 1 cauliflower that's on the field at once at like all times, we can only really gain sun from 1 tile. So we're really relying on our solar stages here. And I probably should have used them more because we needed 700 more sun when the last wave started, but I did not know the last wave would only be 1 zombie and 2 gargantuars, so our cauliflowers quickly cleaned it up before I could remove them so I could get value from my solar stages. But I always learn from my mistakes, so next time I tried it, it was easy peasy. Day 15, I have to protect the plants that I was talking about earlier. And I completed this level first try too. Like I really wish I had something to say like this level is difficult or something, but so far no level in this world has given me trouble. Anyway, what do we think of Heath bars, guys? I think they're top 20 bars of all time, probably. We did have to find a way to deal with all these zombies from the imp that drops a tent on the ground and it continuously flows out zombies. But even that wasn't even that hard to deal with. I just had to hypnotize the one in the front and it just created a chain reaction until they finally killed the tent. Like, not even the zombies in this world are really worth talking about, bro. Like, one zombie just blocks projectiles, another one blocks projectiles, and then one just creates zombies. Like, I don't know what to say, man. Day 19, I made one fatal mistake, trusting that the enchantment would hypnotize the zombies I wanted it to. One mistake lost me all of my lawnmowers, and I barely won by the hair on my chinny chin. The next plant of this world is Stalia, and she pretty much slows zombies for a pretty good bit for 0 sun. And I'm gonna put her in B tier. I wouldn't really run her in just like a normal loadout. I don't think she's crazy useful. She still is a good plant, she's just not really strong. And just remember guys, this is an opinion. I know opinion is almost as bad as saying J-O-B nowadays, but it is what it is. Also, just because I'm putting her in B tier doesn't mean I wouldn't hit. And also, this level is actually hard. Like, there is a crazy amount of zombies to deal with, and you get little to no time to actually react to any of it, and you only get like 1 or 2 plant food. And also, look at this. How is bro eating my brains if he just got flung halfway across the world, bro? We had to use the solar sage for this one to finally get our army going, but once we did, nothing could stand in our way. We didn't have any more trouble until day 27 where we got completely overwhelmed by the amount of zombies. But at least my cauliflower got to hit an insane trick shot. Day 27 also introduces us to our last plant from this world, the golden leaf. Basically, the golden leaf just makes that golden tile under wherever you place it. You know, the one I was talking about earlier that produces sun. Just place a sunflower down, bro. Do I really have to explain more why this plant is absolute shit? We won day 27 as soon as we whipped out the solar sage. Like, no level on here has really stumped me. It's basically just every level that I've lost has just been because I was seeing if I could do it without the solar sage or not. Day 29 was a little frustrating. This is the round I was going for to try to do it without the solar sage. Why does it feel like sometimes my color powers are purposely trying to not hit the gargantuan? Like, is there something I don't know about? Also, what even happened here? But we were able to do it after we got the sun we needed from the solar sage's help. Day 30, the last day for the challenge in the Lost City. Nothing really happened. This world was really a nothing burger. Like, Pirate Seas was harder than this world. I'm gonna give Lost City a 3 out of 10. None of the zombies in this world were really threatening to the challenge I was doing, you know? The chicken zombie and the weasel zombie, since this challenge isn't very good for like crowd control, they were really hard to go against. But Lost City doesn't really provide anything, like any zombies that can like get up in your face really fast where you have to like react and like actually like, you know, there's just no hard zombies to like defend in this challenge in this world. It's basically just like regular Joe zombies. There's just a lot of them. If you're here at the end, please consider subscribing. It helps a lot, and this channel is growing really fast, especially if you want to see more challenges like this after this one's done.